Hello, welcome to the Mark Janard Show, the cybersecurity show. In this video, I'm going to cover how you can perform an SQL injection attack via two tools. There's going to be two methods, right? But here's a disclaimer. Do not use the information in this video for illegal or unethical reasons. If you choose to do this attack without explicit authorization, there can be severe consequences. So I'm going to give you a brief overview of an SQL injection, why hackers like it, some of the big ones that happen in history, and then we're going to go over the two methods and the ways that you can execute an SQL injection attack. So let's get into it. So an SQL injection attack is a type of cyber attack where malicious SQL code is injected into an application's input fields, causing the application to execute unintended database commands that can expose, alter, or delete sensitive information. Now, some of the most notorious SQL injection attacks in history, we have the Heartland Payment Systems in 2008, where attackers used SQL injection to breach security, resulting in the theft of approximately 130 million credit and debit card numbers, making this one of the largest data breaches ever recorded. Now, the breach went undetected for months and led to widespread financial fraud and significant regulatory changes, right? In 2011, we had the Sony's Pictures PlayStation Network, where attackers compromised the network via SQL injection, exposing 77 million user accounts and causing an estimated 170 million in financial damages. So this incident highlighted vulnerabilities in high-profile entertainment and gaming networks. In 2012, we had Yahoo Voices, which is a union-based SQL injection attack, leaked about 450,000 login credentials, affecting a major web platform and demonstrating continued risk in large tech companies. We have in 2007, there was the 7-Eleven and associated companies, basically the retail giant, and other companies had payment systems breached, resulting in the theft of more than 130 million credit card numbers in one campaign. Now, some of the reasons for the popularity of SQL injections, there's a very high impact. So SQL injection lets attackers steal, alter, or delete valuable data such as passwords, credit cards, or personal information, sometimes compromising entire systems. There's widespread vulnerability, so many web applications improperly handle user input, making them easy targets for this type of attack, especially because SQL injection exploits one of the oldest and most common security flaws. There's the ease of use, so attackers can automate discovery and exploitation of vulnerable sites. Even basic error messages can guide hackers into basically crafting successful payloads. Now, and there's a variety of outcomes, right? SQL injection can bypass login mechanisms, give admin privileges, install malware, deface websites, and trigger ransomware. It's also tough to detect. So basically, because attacks manipulate normal database queries, they can be hard to spot and may avoid simple security monitoring. So attackers, they basically gain unauthorized access, gaining control without valid credentials, accessing private or restricted data. They can data manipulate, changing account balances, creating fake users, or deleting entire databases. There's a financial gain aspect to it too. Stolen, records are often sold for profit, so organizations face legal risks and reputational damage. And, further attacks, right? Compromised databases can be used to pivot and attack other systems within a network. Now, the first tool we're going to get into, that was your brief overview. The first tool we're going to get into is the SQL Ninja tool. Now, basically, here is a get-to-the-point, precise, step-by-step beginner hacking tutorial to execute an SQL injection via the SQL Ninja tool. Now, you have to install SQL Ninja first, right? On Kali Linux or other Linux distros, you want to install, basically via the package manager, right? With this code on the screen. Then configure SQL Ninja for your target. So create a configuration file like the sqlninja.conf for the target URL and vulnerable parameter, right? The tool may prompt for this information on first run, right? Example config includes the URL, vulnerable parameter, right? HTTP method, etc. You want to scan for SQL injection vulnerabilities, so run SQL Ninja in scan mode to identify injectable parameters with this code on the screen. Then you want to test and confirm the vulnerabilities. So use test mode, specifying the vulnerable parameter with this code on the screen. Exploit the vulnerability to extract data. Extract database data such as usernames and passwords, right, with this code on the screen. Then there's the elevation of privileges and the takeover. So attempt privilege escalation with this code on the screen. Use invasion techniques, which is somewhat optional, right, to bypass detection tools. You basically can encode payloads, right, with this code on the screen. Now, the second way is through SQL map, right? So that was the first method. Let's get into the second method. So there is the setup and help menu, right? SQL map is a powerful open source tool that detects and exploits SQL injection vulnerabilities. Now, to get started, you want to open a terminal and type this code on the screen. So this displays all commands and options to understand how to use the tool. Now you have to identify injection point, right? You want to find a candidate URL parameter that might be vulnerable. As an example, this code on the screen. You can test manually by replacing the parameter or the parameter value with a quote or special character to look for errors. Now, in regards to the basic SQL map usage, basically to test the URL, the basic command structure is this code on the screen, right? The SQL will attempt various injections automatically on the given URL to detect vulnerabilities. Then basically after that, there's the enumeration of databases, right? Once a vulnerability is detected, enumerate the databases on the target with this code on the screen, right? This returns all database names, right? List the tables in the database after that, after that pick, right? So after picking basically a database, right, you want to list its tables, right? Like testDB, right? With like this code on the screen. So list columns of a table, like for a specific table, like users, list its columns, right? With this code on the screen. Then dump the data from the table, right? You can extract the contents, whether it's the usernames, the passwords, this code on the screen. Some advanced things that you can do is you can use the OS shell option to try opening an interactive OS command shell if possible. You can use the file read, etc pass WD to read files on the server if the injection allows. You can use the interactive wizard mode for guided assistance with this code on the screen. Now, that is how to do it with, SQL map. So those were the two methods. Now, yes, this is an attack and, but we want to learn, what can we do to protect ourselves, right? It's out there. There's a lot of things that can be happen, not of negative things, but to protect yourself from an SQL injection attack, there are some things that you can do, including using prepared statements with parameterized queries, which separate SQL code from user input, preventing attackers from changing the query's intent, right? And then there's the implementation of the input validation and sanitization to ensure user inputs are checked and unsafe characters are removed. Enforcing the principle of least privilege by limiting database user account permissions only to what is necessary is another thing that you can do. Avoiding the use of shared database accounts and minimizing privileges for database connections is next. Employing, stored procedures with basically safe parameter, passing to avoid direct execution of dynamically built SQL. Restricting error message details sent to clients to avoid giving attackers useful information. Utilizing basically whitelisting, right? That's the allow list input validation to permit only known good inputs. So, that's basically some of the things that you can do to protect yourself from an SQL injection attack. So that is what I have for today. Please take a moment right now to hit that subscribe button and the like button. If you appreciate this video and you want more videos like this, please let me know that by hitting that subscribe button and the like button right now. I appreciate your viewership. Stay safe and see you on the next video.